Personally, I think if you're a trans person and you're a fighter and you're a warrior, there's 100 other places that we would need you and could use your passion and your energy and your willingness to serve in a better, more beneficial way that actually helps people. That being said, this is the beginning. This is the tip of the iceberg. I said on the show this is going to be a litany of rights being stripped away from transgender Americans. Before this went into effect, the administration put into effect the new regulations for transgender inmates. It's another step in the wrong direction for trans rights, where biological sex, as Trump is hoping will be, officially legally defined as basically being cisgender, will determine where a transgender person goes, be it male facilities or female facilities, in prisons and in jails, and as well as whether or not they will receive their health care, which I'm tired of having the conversation with cisgender people about trans healthcare not being real healthcare and not being medically necessary. If you're not a motherfucking doctor, you don't get to say that. Plain and simple. You do not understand how many things hormones can affect in your body and why they are needed and all of this. You don't get to decide. If you disagree with the whole trans inmates getting surgery thing, well, you're just gonna have to go ahead and sit there and disagree, because you're not a motherfucking doctor. So that being said in itself, is even a fraction to me personally of the bigger picture when it comes to transgender people who are incarcerated being put into the wrong facilities, the wrong housing. Either we're talking trans women put into men's facilities and made vulnerable because of that, or we're talking trans people in general put into isolation for no other reason than that they're trans. And that being, it's for their own good, it's for their safety. And, solitary fucks people up even worse than prison already does. So we're talking an astronomical difference in the likelihood of being assaulted, of being raped, of being killed, by people who work for the fucking jails and prisons, let alone the people that you're incarcerated with. And confound that with the fact that transgender people, and especially transgender women of color, are incarcerated at astronomically higher rates than other populations. Why? Because unemployment discrimination, housing discrimination, the society that we live in has already put them in a position where they're lucky to survive. And so many trans people, and especially trans women of color, and even more especially and more specifically black trans women, are subject to these circumstances where so many of them are living on the street, can't get a job, or are considered unemployable, and end up doing survival sex work, end up in all kinds of situations that are dangerous as fuck. And it's this vicious cycle of trans women being put into situations where they have to do what they have to do to survive, and those things they have to do to survive can get them arrested. And then on top of that, they're targeted and singled out by law enforcement. So, I mean, it gets to a point where it's just a matter of time. When people think of the word inmates, they think, oh, well, they're in prison, they're criminals. We've got to stop that. We've got to stop that line of thinking and pay attention to the bigger factors at play that lead to so many trans people being incarcerated, and why that makes it such a problem and such a scary, slippery slope of taking away transgender people's rights just because they are incarcerated.